Welcome to A Cup of Grace and Lori.
I'm Grace.
And I'm Lori. And this is episode 9 of our podcast. In this episode, Grace is going to be taking the lead on our discussion, and she's going to be talking about angel numbers and signs and synchronicity. I just wanted to add, we mentioned that in our last episode that we were going to a hotel, and we did stay at the Sheraton Gateway for one night last week, and we had a blast. So if you watch till the end of this episode, we've uploaded a couple of clips and photos from our stay. So I hope you enjoy those. Anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Grace.
Okay, thank you, Lori. So angel numbers, I wonder if you've heard of them, but I've only recently been introduced to them because of something that happened to me recently. To start off, I'll just give a brief definition of what angel numbers are. So basically, they're repeating numbers. For example, you may suddenly see, when you look at the clock, it may be 111, or it may be 222, or 333, or 444. Or, you know, you can see those same repeating numbers throughout the course of your day on a license plate, on a receipt, whatever. But when you see those repeatedly, they do kind of catch your attention, especially when you see them in like really long sequences, right? What they say about angel numbers is that angel numbers is one of the ways in which the universe tries to communicate with us. And oftentimes we hear these types of stories, seeing angel numbers, signs and synchronicities from people who are going through either a spiritual or personal growth journey. And so that is what's happening with me right now. So I wanted to just share a brief story. I think it was in late February or early March of this year. And I was sleeping, and I just woke up suddenly. So I didn't hear a sound or anything, but I just woke up for some reason. And I just happened to look at the clock. I have a digital clock, and it said 1:11. And that actually caught my attention because it was quite strange. Because for many years, even before I really knew about angel numbers, I had been seeing for many years 333, but I never really researched it. And so that's why when I woke up that night, at 1:11, it really caught my attention, because usually when I did look at the clock, it was 3:33, right?
Okay.
So I just thought, oh, you know, this is a little strange, but I forgot about it, and I just went back to sleep. Okay. And then not long after, I attended an online forum or conference. It's called the Introvert Writing Summit, where you get to watch interviews with authors who identify as introverts. And one of the interviews that I watched was with an author called Janet Connor. She calls herself a prayer artist. She's a prayer artist.
Okay.
As well as a mystic witch. And
I like the mystic witch.
She wrote several books, and one of them she touched on during the interview, and I was really fascinated because it was called Writing Down Your Soul. And that title already, right away, hearing that word soul, and also writing, because writing is a part of me. So it really intrigued me. And I knew when she was talking about this book and how it impacted her, how it came to be, I knew that I had to get the book, because basically it was life-changing for her. Basically, writing down your soul is like journaling. It's similar to journaling. But the difference is that you set an intention. You're intentionally trying to communicate with the divine voice within. So basically, when you start a journal entry or a soul writing entry, you date it as per usual, right? But you write dear voice or dear inner voice, or you can use whatever name. For me, I believe in God, so I say dear God or dear Lord. With the intention of communicating, right? To have a conversation with the divine.
When you say you set an intention,
Yeah.
Like, it isn't just to communicate, you actually set a specific intention.
So basically what I do is I just, before I have a little ritual. So, you can create your own ritual. What I do before a session is I take 3 deep breaths, hold in and then exhale. And then, I write down the date. And before I start writing, I just hold my pen like this to my third eye.
Yeah.
And I just say, dear God, I'm dedicating, or I have the intention, I'm setting the intention to communicate with you.
Okay.
Something like that, right?
Okay.
And, I look forward to receiving your wisdom and guidance if you so choose.
Okay.
And then I start writing. So you can write whatever. Basically, I am treating the divine as my friend, right?
Right.
So I can say anything. And I've gotten angry. I ask questions. Once I got so angry, like I was writing with a felt tip pen, and I got so angry, like I smashed it against the page, and I dulled the felt tip, and I created a hole on the page.
Wow.
But you know what? The divine accepts you. The divine loves you unconditionally. So you can just let go.
Sorry to interrupt, but Grace, do you find that you're writing things that maybe you don't know where it's coming from? If you know what I mean? Like if you're getting
at this point, I haven't come to that point.
Okay.
But with Janet Conner, the writer of Writing Down Your Soul, that's what happened to her.
Wow.
And that's how she knew that she was onto something that was like significant. Because one day, because she was going through a really traumatic marriage and divorce.
Yeah.
And she was like, what is it? Rock bottom. And oftentimes this is what happens. Like when we have to go through a really, the point of despair until we, ask for help from the divine. Right. And so this is what she was doing. And she asked a question, and all of a sudden it felt as though like she received an answer, and she could swear it wasn't her voice.
Wow. Her
Her hand was moving, and like she yelped and she dropped the pen.
Wow.
She knew it wasn't her.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So so eventually, like things worked out. Things worked out for her, and now she's making a wonderful living. She has a full-blown business, being who she is and being, her genuine self, right? So I got the ebook. I started reading the intro. In the intro, I saw the word January 11.
Oh.
And then, a few words later, I saw a series of ones.
Really?
1
Wow.
5 ones.
Wow.
And at that moment, when I saw that, Lori, that's when I remembered.
The 111.
When waking up, yes.
Yeah.
I remembered that night.
Yeah.
And I burst into tears because I knew.
Wow. That's really powerful.
I knew that the divine was trying to talk to me, was trying to get my attention. And so, okay, you got it. You got it. So when I saw that, I was like, I said something like, oh, is this it?
Yeah.
Is this it, Lord? Am I on the right track? Is this what you want me to do?
Yeah.
So that really was a turning point for me. After that, it's like, okay, I'm going to started writing down my soul. So I got on March 5th, I started writing down all my thoughts or whatever, asking questions. And so these are just sketchbooks that I got from the dollar store, right? I've already filled up one.
Wow.
And I started March 5th. So I'm on the second one now. And then, so that made an impact on me. So I was like, okay, I'm really curious about finding out about angel numbers now. So I started doing all the research, right?
Right.
And so let me just say that there are a multitude of meanings for each angel number, and it really varies depending on who you're watching. So I watch a bunch of YouTube videos, right? So if you happen to see a series of numbers repeatedly over a prolonged period of time, and if you don't know what the meaning is at that moment, just take it as a good sign. Take it as a good sign, because it's basically, wow, my guardian angels are with me. Because even before I saw that 111 that night, I mentioned that I've been seeing 333 for
right.
a long
A
period
long
of my
time.
life.
Yeah.
And I remember one day when I was at work, my colleague, she actually, like, we were talking about something, I don't know what it was, but I
Yeah.
mentioned that I would always see 333, and she looked it up. She Googled it.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what exactly the details were, but I remember she said guardian angels, right? So that
Wow.
stuck in my head. So I was like, oh, that's so nice, right? So whenever I remembered from that point forward, whenever I did see 333 again, even though I didn't know exactly what it meant,
Yeah.
I knew it was a good thing. So I just basically said, oh, thank you, guardian angels. Thank you for being with me. So even if you don't know what it means, what that number means, putting that feeling of gratitude inside of you, that is a good thing, right? Because you're raising your vibration. And gratitude and love, I think they're among the highest vibrating emotions, right?
Right.
So yeah, we attract who we are. We attract, what we feel.
Yeah.
So just take it as a good sign. But why angel number 111 is so significant to me is because, so one of the main themes that I got from watching all the angel number videos that I did is 111 is basically, it means new beginnings.
Yeah.
And this is very significant, not only to me, but to you and I.
Okay.
So other ways that 111 has shown up in my life since that first time is it has to do with our podcast, Lori. Okay.
Did we start on January 11th?
Okay. Wait for it.
Oh, I'm getting ahead of you.
So when I was preparing for this episode,
Yeah.
it popped in my mind. Oh, okay. I'm going to look up when we started our podcast.
Yeah.
So I was going through my Gmail. Okay.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see, okay, when did we post our first podcast episode? But before I came upon that information or that email, I saw the email where I first asked you. I first asked you if you were interested in doing a podcast together on my birthday.
Right.
And I was responding to your birthday wishes to me on my birthday.
Yeah.
While I was writing my response, it popped into my mind. Oh, because I wanted to do a podcast for years, and I actually even put it on my vision board. I think I put it on my vision board for 2020 or 2021.
I already told you that the psychic mentioned to me. Yeah, it was 2.5 years ago or whatever, where she said either I should be doing a podcast or I will be doing a podcast. So so there we both got
synchronicities.
Signs. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So as I was writing that email to you, it popped in my mind. Oh, why don't I ask Lori if she wants to start a podcast? Because she and I always have good conversations. It's so easy. Like when we're together, it's so easy for us to talk
and
to
stimulating
each other.
Too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I asked. And guess what? Okay. Guess what? You responded. Yes, I'd love to do a podcast together on January 11th.
Oh, wow.
And that's our new beginning.
Cool.
That is our new beginning.
Cool.
And there's more.
Okay.
So there was a Facebook post, right, that I was writing, and I titled it New Beginnings. Okay. And I was writing about, because I want to share on Facebook, what you and I were doing together. You and I are starting this new journey together with this new podcast. So I titled the caption of my Facebook post, New Beginnings. Yes. As I was typing out my caption, I happened to look at the time on my laptop, 1:11.
Yeah, of course.
Again, that's the angels. The angels, the universe is saying this is right. So whenever I see angel numbers now, it's like, it's a nudge of approval. You're on the right path.
Wow.
This was meant to be. Okay. You and I, we were brought together for a reason. This is all divinely designed. Remaining on the topic of signs and synchronicities and how I believe that, there's a higher power orchestrating what is happening. I'm going to let Lori take this because there were things that happened even before Lori and I met in person. It seemed like she and I, our lives were kind of orbiting each other, right?
I'll just briefly skim over that. It seemed that we were living in similar parts of Toronto, like in the West End.
Yeah.
And
my ex-partner.
Oh, right.
My ex-partner, he had a condo.
Right beside mine. Yeah. Right beside mine. And that's when Grace we hadn't met yet, but Grace was seeing this guy, and I was living at that condo, and we met shortly after, because I was living at that condo when we met. You're right. Yes. The way we met was I was holding a meetup. I was holding a brunch at my condo. Grace contacted me. She couldn't make the brunch, but she saw I had put on my meetup profile that I was attending U of T as a full-time student, and she saw that. And she said, so she contacted me and she said, I can't make the brunch, but I'm also attending U of T full-time, and there's a mature students group and you should come and check it out. So I said, sure, I'd love to. Most of the students at U of T or any university are like 20. So I showed up and at the meeting, and I saw Grace right away, and we immediately clicked. Like, I liked her right away. She said she liked me right away. We just clicked, and it's been that easy type of relationship and friendship ever since. So that was definitely synchronized. But I just wanted to say my experience with numbers, and this one is so spiritual, because I used to work part-time at the Woodbine racetrack, and I was working for the government, but on weekends or evenings or one evening a week I would work at the racetrack. And I started, all the people that work there bet on the races, by the way. It's I didn't bet a lot, but you start seeing the horses come in, and then you're like, okay, I know that horse always wins, or you start seeing the names, right, that win. Yeah. But for me, because I'm a numbers person and they stick with me, I started seeing the numbers, and like I would look at the they call it the triactor, which is the first three horses that come in. So one that places first, second, and third. So I would remember the numbers, like there's usually 9 horses in a race. So you might have 8, 2, and 1. So 8 came in first, 2 came in second, 1 came in third. Well, the numbers that resonated with me were pretty certain they were 9, 2, 3, which are my actual numbers for my birth date in numerology, because I'm born on the 27th, which is a 9. And then my life path is a 5. So 2 and 3, when you add 5. So those numbers, I would see them in the triactor. Oh, it was 9, 2, 3 that won today. And I would come back the next week, and there'd be more races where the triactor was 9, 2, 3. So when sometimes I would be like, I would bet those numbers and they would win. Maybe not that much though, maybe only $100 or something. Well, one day this guy came up to my booth to buy a ticket. And it was 9, 2, 3. There was 1 minute left before the window closed to stop the bets. And I was in my head, I was like, I should bet that number. I should bet those 3 numbers as the triactor. Those are my numbers, basically, right? And darn it, I didn't bet them because I second guessed myself. And sure enough, 9, 2, 3 came in, the triactor. He comes back, cashes his ticket with me, and he won $1,800. So I would have won $1,800 if I had bet those numbers. And I said to him, darn it, I said I was going to bet those numbers because those are my numbers. And he says, those are excellent numbers. So they were his numbers too. And it was like, I think the universe or God or whoever was telling me, giving me a message to bet them, even though you don't really normally associate spirituality and betting, right? But I do believe I was getting a signal. And I ignored it because I was too nervous. Like I thought, well, it might not.
It's money.
I had bet on triactors before, but for some reason, I just thought, I hesitated, and I should know because I would have won $1,800 that day. So that was my experience at the racetrack with synchronicity, repetitive numbers anyway, or sequences of numbers.
So in terms of this angel number 111 being significant, basically, yeah, the number one is significant for me. Because I know in numerology, for example, and we did this last week, with my English name, I come to a 7, right?
Okay.
A number 7. Yes. Which really does resonate. It makes sense, right? Because I'm into the metaphysical, the sacred, spiritual. But I also have a Korean name. Okay. And when I work it out with my Korean name, and that's the name that was given to me, right, originally. Yeah. I figured it out based on what I got from this book, Crystals and Numerology. So they call it your expression number. Okay. So in the book that you mentioned is your native number, right? So, so my expression number is actually 11. Oh, really? So again, 1. Yes. Wow. Yes. So the number 1 is significant in my life. Okay. And number 11 is one of the master numbers. Yes, it is. There are master numbers. There are 3 master numbers. So there's 11, there's 22, and there's 33. And that makes up, those master numbers make up the triangle of enlightenment. 1 seems to be apparently significant in my life. But definitely 7 makes sense as well, right? Because that has to do with the sacred. And your birthday is the 7th as well. So, right? And your name reduces to 7. The Grace, your English name reduces to 7. I think that was meant to be too. And anyway, Grace is kind of a loose translation of my Korean name anyway. Like my Korean name is like Grace and Treasure. Okay. So all in all, I do believe that numbers are quite meaningful, and as well as signs and synchronicities. And I just want to read a quote by Carl Jung. Synchronicity is meant to be interpreted from the subjective viewpoint of the person experiencing it. So indeed, when we experience synchronicities, they are mostly meaningful and impactful to us, right? Okay. Like we understand why it is meaningful, right? Some people might think, oh, that's just a random event. But yourself, it isn't. Yeah. That's right. You realize that, you're actually not alone. And there's a higher power at play here, and they're orchestrating things and it seems so convoluted to our imagination, but everything, there is an order that we may not understand. And sometimes, at a certain point in our lives, and I'm experiencing this a little bit, you reach a point in your life, and when you look back at a certain period, you can start connecting the dots, right? Yeah. And you realize, oh, that is why that happened. Yeah. That is why, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm starting to see that, why those certain things happened, why certain relationships I got involved in, right? And another thing I wanted to say about synchronicities, and this is what Deepak Chopra says, it's an anonymous gift from God. I like that. Or a state of grace. Yeah. Yes. That's nice. Deepak Chopra gives some tips as to what you should do when you notice synchronicities. So I'll read a few because, for example, so he advises, once you start experiencing synchronicities, you'll start seeing the world as an extension of yourself. As an extension of yourself. Of yourself. Basically, like we are co-creating with the universe, right? There is no separation. The divine is within us, right? Okay. And also he says, you'll start seeing relationships as a mirror, which is very true. I truly believe that you and I were brought together for a reason, that we were meant to learn from each other. You are my teacher. I am your teacher. You know what I mean? Absolutely. To make us become who we already are. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we have the seeds already. Inside. Yeah. And absolutely. So we were brought together to bring out the best in each other. Yeah. Absolutely. So one other tip, he says, when you experience a coincidence or a synchronicity, ask, what does it mean? So that this is how we just gain more insight and understanding as to why certain events happen in our lives and why certain people enter into our lives. And I think it's very educational and informative. So that was my story about angel numbers, the significance of angel number 111 especially. And I also have been starting to see 1111. That is the awakening code. But when you when you visualize 111s, the visual, it kind of looks like for me, it looks like pillars.
Yeah.
Or even a gate.
Okay.
So knowing what the meaning of 111 in general is, in general is new beginnings. Basically, yeah. One, like with the pillars, we're setting a foundation. Okay. Right? We're setting a foundation. We're planting the seeds right now, Lori, with our new beginning together. And yeah, I see those gates. And we have a choice. We have a choice to stay where we are or to walk through and walk that path that we are meant to walk together. So I'm just like such a romantic. But I think both of us feel really good about this. Like maybe right now we don't, in the material world, there's no evidence, but there's so much meaning and significance in what we cannot see. Maybe we don't see it now, but you and I feel I can't even describe it, right? Something good is going to happen. We don't know how it's going to show up. It might not even show up the way that we think.
It's already happening.
We're growing and learning. We're strengthening our relationship together. Yeah. This is another dimension to our relationship. It's all good things.
Yeah, it
is. I'm very grateful.
Well, I am too. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And as I said, keep watching and you'll see some clips and photos from our recent hotel stay. And we'll be back next week with another episode. So have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Good morning. This is Grace from A Cuppa, Grace and Lori. It is morning time at the Sheraton Hotel. It's the Sheraton Gateway at the Toronto Airport. And you know what? I have one question for you. Which bed do you think Lori slept in? Bed number 1 or bed number 2? Bed number 1 or bed number 2?
Well, and look at that. It's 4:44.
Oh, wow. I just